Well, me and my buddy cut school to go to over to Alameda Naval Air Station, where Naval Air Station is now. The one there was the San Francisco and Oakland Airport, and it was 1935, and they brought the Pan Am Clipper in there, got it ready to make the lonely flight or just with the crew to the Philippines. And me and my buddy had cut in there and went underneath the lines and was underneath the airplane looking how huge it was. And the guards caught us. And they had us both by our ears walking us out. And Wiley Post came by and took us away from the guards and took us back to the airplane. And he said, "Do you like to go inside?" "Oh, yeah. Oh, man, we really want to go inside." So he took us inside, and it was all Pan Am clip. It was shiny, nice inside, and seats were real comfortable. They had a two-story to it. You can go upstairs and sit in the passing room or go down below and play cards. And he took us up in the cockpit, and man, I really fell in love with that cockpit. All I can think of was just nothing but clocks. All it was instruments with it. So when he walked us out and took us over to where we were going to go through the tube and back home, he said that if we got a written permit from our folks, that we can come down here after school and work on aircraft parts. And he told the guy in the shop and everything, "Oh, yeah, we'll take care of it." So the next day after school, I was down there, so was my buddy. They put us to work in cleaning parts. Well, to me, it was okay. Cleaning parts, that's a start. I just cleaned a bunch of parts and scrubbed them and got in the little places and all that stuff. We did a good job. The guys even pat us on the back because we did a good job cleaning. That come back again. So the next day we came back and we got into for quite a while, for about a month there, we were nothing but cleaning parts, and my buddy got a little upset. He just didn't come anymore. And I stuck it out. And they started feeling sorry for me, so they started putting me to work, put bearings together, measure bearings, fit the rings, and the whole works of rebuilding. And after about a year or so doing that, fitting everything together, they got me, I was almost putting the whole engine together. And they gave me a test, and I passed it. I think I got 90. Out of possible 200, I got about 93, somewhere like that. It was a real good score. I was even surprised myself. So then they decided to teach me into body and fender work. It's kind of like body and fender. I was doing that anyway at school at Tech High. Had a crazy instructor in there. He didn't get anything across to you. He slammed a hammer at you, flat all the way across the shop and hit the wall with a hammer. And that gets your attention in a hurry. And I done real good in sheet metal riveting and all that stuff, bending, straightening it out. And they gave me a test on that, and I passed real good on that. So I guess they sent the stuff to Oklahoma, the test and everything, and they shipped it back as an A&P license. They gave me an A&P license, and I was only 17. And I got my draft notice shortly after that, and went down and was talking to and I was proud as hell I got an A&E license, so I was bragging about it and everything. And this sergeant in charge, "Oh, what's your number of your license?" And so I gave him the number. He wrote it all down, and I never thought anything of it. I just thought the guy was being proud, and he knew I was going in the service, so it just put that more on Benny towards me. So anyway, I had 2 months to finish high school, and he says, "You're going in the service." And I said, "Well, wait a minute, can't I stay home for 2 more months, finish high school?" He said, "If you make it back, you can finish." I told him, "Thanks." So I got drafted, sent to Monterey for a couple of days. They processed, I don't know what they did. Then they sent me back to McCullough Field, where I started there in first part of 43. And they had a big bulletin board come out. Need 900 pilots, Texas. Man, I ran over there and signed everything and passed all the tests and everything, and they had me in the first 100 to go. And First Sergeant Schill, I never will forget his name. He comes over and he says, "Hey, Matthews." I said, "Yeah, what do you need, Sarge?" He says, "You're going to the 307. I said, "Wait a minute. The 307 is going overseas. And I'm going to Texas to be a pilot." "Oh," he says, "don't worry about it." He says, "if your name comes up when you're on the train, we'll just pull you off and send you to Texas." Okay, so I got my A and B bag and threw it on the train and got into the train, and off we went. And that was the last I ever heard of anything about it being a pilot. So I ended up back at Camp Kilmer, New York. And they put us on a troop ship, English troop ship, and it was filthy. So we had to clean it and wash all the stuff down and clean the decks out. I don't know what they were using there, but then we found out later that they were cooking our stuff on a coal-burning stove, and just above the kitchen was a little tree, and as he pissed, the troughs were leaking, and they were running down the wall into the kitchen, and God damn, it made you sick, but it's the only way, that's just what we had to eat. They cooked or boiled the potatoes, and we'd go down and get it and bring it back to our section that we were sleeping in, and eat our dinners there and bring the garbage cans back. They had garbage cans, small garbage cans you put all your food in. And when we left the harbor, we got out to where we're heading out into the ocean, and here we're looking over the side, and here's tons of chairs, those easy chairs that you use on the lawn and patios and all that, and tables and all kinds of junk that had floated off ships that the Germans had sunk off the coast of America. And it took us 29 days to get across the Atlantic. We lost 7 ships out of the convoy, and we could hear the crews out there screaming and hollering, but we kept on churning and stayed right on course, and we kind of halfway mutinied. Everybody was going to, so the captain got on the horn, and he said, "Okay," he says, "we'll turn around and go back and pick those guys up, but you just liable have to swim from here to England." Now, what's the choice right now? If you want to go, holler. If not, keep your mouth shut. So we said, "Yes, sir." We kept his mouth shut. We didn't want to swim. But it was an awful hard thing to get through. You can hear those guys for 2 days hollering out there. And they, the Atlantic up there, up towards England and up north, is damn cold too. It's not no warm water to be in. And these guys were covered with grease, oil, everything from the ships, and they were screaming for help. So we had to go until we didn't hear them no more. So we figured, and they didn't save any of the crews of the 7 ships that went down. They all sunk, and the crews came down later, died or drowned or whatever they did. But that was that gave you a good idea what war is really like. It was pretty sad. So we ended up parked next to the Asian islands. Now what the hell they call those islands there? And we're next to a big cliff. The cliffs were higher than the ship, and you can see the water going up and down on the cliff. And we're there stuck 3 days. And finally, the 3rd day, they decided, I guess, that the subs or something was chasing. And we started up the engine about 3 in the afternoon and took off. And we're heading dead north. And I said, oh my God. Well, I went down bunk because it was my turn to sleep. And I got up the following morning and we walked out on the deck and here we were icebergs all around us. So the directions you looked, there was 2 or 3 icebergs. And come to find out, we went straight up north and went over Ireland, down the Irish Straits into Liverpool. And the Germans had bombed the port a day earlier. And everything was on fire and we're coming into fog. So we had to get into close enough to pier. I don't know how close we got. And we had to go over the side of the ship. And that ship was so big that it couldn't go through the Golden Gate. That's how big that ship was. And it was a long ways from the main deck down to the water to get us into barges and take us into shore. And when we got in on the shore on the deck, it was real early in the morning. I guess it was about 3 o'clock, and so it was still black, dark. And it sounded like, as we saw a horse and cart parked over off the pier, and you hear all this clop-clop all over town. And we thought, Jesus, everybody's got horses over here. It wasn't horses. They had, their shoes had wooden soles on them. They made carved wood and nailed it onto their shoes because they couldn't get enough leather or anything during the war to do any shoe repair. And we ended up in Blackpool, England, and it's way up north. And I was there a couple of months because they didn't have enough airplanes for us to go to 96. And they finally got enough airplanes to fly a mission. And it was one of the first missions I got on. There were 27 of us airplanes. We took off, and the Pentagon said we didn't need an escort to go into Paris because we had enough firepower that we could run anything off. Well, yeah, we had a lot of firepower, but it was 50 caliber. But the Germans were flying 190s at it, and they have 20 millimeter cannons, so it way outdid the machine guns. And we ended up losing all but 2 ships, and we lost 600 killed on that mission. And that really changed the whole attitude on how it was. It was really scary to go out. You see these guys, you see pictures of these guys jumping in the jeeps and going out to the airport, and they're all looking down. They're not even talking to each other. Most of them are just praying like hell because they never figure that's the last mission they're going to be on. And it was, most of the time it was. An awful lot of airplanes went down. And 27 airplanes we lost. We lost 27 airplanes on the mission. We lost all but 2 come back. And we decided to hell with the damn Pentagon. We're going to do this our way. We're going to have escort, we'll get escort. But the next mission I went on was about a month or 2 after that. And they took me back, sent me back down to the 96 Bomb Group. And that's down by Cambridge, and it was about 200 miles north of Blackpool. And when we were down there, they gave me a B-17, and they said, that's your airplane out there. So I walked out, walked around, found the door. And I've only been on one, and we went on a mission, and I flew in it a couple of times before so they get you familiarization with it, because I was top tour. And I'm trying to think what the hell I had to say.
You were probably walking around the airplane.
Yeah, I walked around the airplane, got in it, went up in front. I was sitting there looking the cockpit over real good again. But I looked it over a little bit when most of the time I was working on the tour and seeing how it operated everything on the first mission that I went on. And then when I went back to the tour and then came back to the cockpit there, somebody hit the side of the airplane. And I leaned out the window and he said, is this your airplane? I said, yeah, they say it is. I don't know. I said, what do you need? He says, what's that movie actor?
Jimmy Stewart?
Jimmy Stewart wants to park here where he keeps the park. We want you to move your airplane down next spot. Oh, okay. So I started all 4 engines, got them going, taxied it down there, zigzagging all over the place. But I managed to keep it straight into the place and parked it and shut all the engines down. And this master sergeant, I don't know where he came from, he come out there, he says, where'd you get your training at taxiing that airplane? I said, 15 minutes ago. Why? He says, oh shit. He turned around and walked off. That was my training. 15 minutes ago, I trained myself to move it. But that's the way it was back then. They didn't have enough airplanes to make a mission. The women were flying them over, and we're getting airplanes slow, but we hadn't. In the first part of 43, we didn't have very many at all. So most of the time we were either working on the airplanes that are bad or on the runway, cleaning up the taxiway and all that. You know, and work on the buildings that we were living in, make the building a little warmer. And English, they figured two chunks of coal was good enough for one night. Well, we used 20 or 30 chunks of coal when we had that stove red hot, and it kept the whole barrack, because they never had insulation or anything. They just had a metal barracks, and you get the barracks hot, and you can see the steam coming off of it on the outside from the heat. But it kept it nice and warm, and it was comfortable to be in. And that's the way it goes. And the next day would be most anything. The Germans would come over and bomb us, or they go and bomb the city.